Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us today. Today, talking about the Development Action Group, DAG, and the amazing work that they are doing. We'll be touching on the CDA and looking at more about that. But now talking to Zama. Zama, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Zama, I'm going to allow you to say your surname, man.
Thank you very much and welcome to everyone. My name is Zama Mqwatyu. I'm a program manager at DAG. Development Action Group is an NGO that has been around since 1986, working with the poor pre-1994 and post-1994 on issues of access to land and access to affordable housing opportunities. And just to say, I've been here at DAG since 2005. Started as an intern, working through different programs within DAG. But as you correctly said, today we're going to be zooming on the work of the CDA, which is Contractor and Developer Academy, a programmatic area within DAG.
Okay, so tell us about the CDA and how DAG got involved in that.
Okay, DAG has got a history of working with poor communities around access to housing opportunities. We have done or partnered with government on programs like PHP, People's Housing Process, which are financed by subsidies from government. We have done informal settlement upgrading in partnership with government and other communities. But then, while we're doing PHP implementation, People's Housing Process implementation in Khayelitsha, Cape Town, where we built 2,173 houses. It was a project worth 68 million. We decided as DAG to work with emerging construction companies. We did not want to work with the big construction companies because ours is to support those people who have been marginalized before. So we said, let us start a program that will support and capacitate emerging construction companies and emerging developers. Emerging construction companies are those individuals who I always refer as bucket builders. They are emerging contractors, informal contractors. Some are not even registered in most of the industry bodies. They might be registered as a company, but when it comes to other industry bodies, they might not be registered. So ours is to assist them to comply with industry bodies. Ours is to assist them to be in a position to tender for jobs, either from the public or from the private sector, but also to run successful businesses who can be in a position to employ and give opportunities to others. So that was the motivation for us to start CDA. We started CDA in 2017 after the completion of the 2173 houses in Khayelitsha. That means the experiences that we got from working with emerging contractors building 2173 houses I think guided us regarding how and the objectives of the CDA. And within the CDA, it's not only about us capacitating the contractors, but we also capacitate what we call emerging developers. That means emerging developers are those individuals who are saying, I see a gap in the market, there's issues or challenges around affordable rental in the market. How can we assist government in terms of the implementation of affordable rental? So within CDA, we capacitate those developers so that they can build within the City of Cape Town regulations. Because I always say, if someone starts a construction company, it's not like that person has been trained as a civil engineer or has been trained as an architect or as a QS, even with that applies to the developers. Some of them do not have any background when it comes to built environment training. And the CDA is playing a crucial role in capacitating them so that they can understand. Because I always say, for me, people should understand the rules of the game. There are rules of the game in the construction industry. How can we assist these groupings who have been marginalized before so that they can comply and play in the field that has been played by those who had opportunities before 1994.
So who is the CDA designed for, and how can one get involved?
Okay, for one to get involved in CDA, I think CDA is designed for those who are raising their hands to say, I want the support. CDA services are demand-based. We don't just go around and train people who are not interested to be fully fledged construction companies. The support is designed for those who are raising their hands, who are not sitting back. For example, our criteria for one to be part of our training programs within the CDA, we look for someone who's already active. We're not looking for someone who's sitting at home saying, I'm thinking of starting a construction company. No. We are saying we target those people who are already working. It might happen that this person has not managed to secure any public sector jobs, but fortunately, the sector is active. There might be someone within the community of the emerging contractor who's saying, I want to extend my house, I want to build a yard. We are encouraging to say, start small, but document your successes. So we are targeting those individuals.
Okay, and what makes this program different from others, and why does it play such an important role in the urban development sector?
Okay, I think if we look at the current programs that are being run by private sector companies and by public sector, they are not customized. I think ours as DAG is not about ticking the boxes. We don't want to tick the boxes to say this year we've trained 50 construction companies. No, it's not about the numbers. It's about the quality of those contractors who come through our systems. For example, we target only 10 construction companies a year. And once we open up for training, they motivate to us why they should be chosen to be part of the construction of the training program. Once we train them, I think our training currently is over a period of 6 months. Once they are trained, there's a mentorship program that runs throughout. It's not like once you complete the training program, we say to you, thank you very much, we tick our boxes, we report to our funders. No. There's a mentorship program that is in place to support them. On top of the mentorship program, I think as CDA, we also do what we call advocacy and lobbying, talking to different big construction companies, talking to private sector, public sector institutions to say, how do you start to level the playing field? That's something that is not being done by other training programs, to look at the welfare of these institutions so that they can grow their businesses. So we don't just train, we mentor, but then while we mentor, we also link these guys to work opportunities. But we always say to DAG, we'll only link those that we can see that they are serious, because we don't want to dent the reputation of the CDA. Because when we link them to these work opportunities, they go there having a reference of CDA, of which you don't get that anywhere. I think we also support them to better understand the rules within the industry and interpret those rules. We help them to affiliate to industry institutions. For example, for one to be a fully fledged construction company in South Africa, one of the basics that these emerging contractors need to do is to register with SARS, South African Revenue Services.
Sure. And
there's compliance around that. Each year you need to go back to SARS and report how much did you earn and what did you do throughout the year. And there's been companies who will say, I will not report because I did not work in this year. So that's where we come in, as I always refer to us as a library. We are a resource to this, so that they can keep their companies alive. They can be in a position to say, in all these industry bodies that are a must, I'm affiliated to them, and I make sure that I renew my affiliation every year. So I think we're saying to them, do these things yourselves. Don't depend on consultants to do some of these things for you. Yes, you can consult with accountants and architects and all that, but how do you start to understand the role of the accountant in your project? How do you start to understand the role of an architect in your project? How do you start to understand the role of a planner and the role of an engineer in your project? I think for me, that's a role that CDA plays, and that is a role that is not played by any institution that I know. For example, I've been working now with these construction companies since 2011. I've never seen an institution that operates the way DAG operates. And I always say, we should operate in such a way that we capacitate these guys, because they are not trained as civil engineers. Like myself, I'm not trained as an engineer. I'm not trained as an architect. I trained I studied politics at school. But the information that I've gained throughout the past 10 years, I'm saying to these guys, you can also better understand the industry and be in a position to grow your companies, because we want them to also contribute towards employment creation.
Okay, and tell me some of the projects that you've been involved in and the impact that those projects have had on the communities.
Okay, I think just to say as a background, we did a construction in Khayelitsha, which is in Cape Town, where we worked with emerging construction companies. We worked with 14 emerging contractors to build 2,173 houses. Out of the 14 emerging construction companies that we worked with between 2011 and 2015, I would say half of those are still in operation.
Sure.
One of those companies, I think, is CIDB Grading 4. CIDB is an industry body that looks at the growth of the construction companies. The big construction companies will be CIDB Grading 4.
Yeah.
The higher your CIDB grading, the bigger the job that you can tender for.
Yes.
So the guys that we trained, I think between 2011 and now, some of them are CITB grading 4. I think I know 3 or 4 of them who are CITB grading 4.
Wow.
And who are now operating outside of their geographic areas.
Sure.
For example, you'll find that emerging contractors, if he's coming from Khayelitsha, he will only be in a position to operate in Khayelitsha. But the ones that we have trained are in a position to operate outside of their comfort zones, outside of their geographic areas. And they are in a position to even tender for jobs outside of Cape Town. And some of these guys are employing people full-time now. For example, one guy I met in 2011 who was running this one company man show. Fast forward from 2011 when I met him, now he's CITB grading 4.
Yeah.
He's employing more than 15 people,
sure,
formally, on a full-time basis. And what beauty this guy has also done is he has managed to capacitate and skill some of his employees. For example, I know 5 guys who were employed by him, who have moved now from his company, who got driver's licenses because they were driving his company buggies.
Sure.
And I think for me, what we also do is within the CDA, capacitation of the developers. We don't want to see the developers and the contractors building affordable rental housing that will fall within a space of 2 years or so.
Yes.
I've seen some of these developers building quality rental stock that is affordable. And when we are in the implementation stages of the affordable rental stock, we make use of the contractors that have been trained through the CDA. So now we've got also developers who are in a position now to say, we are willing as township developers to play with the big boys in the other affluent areas of Cape Town. And for me, that's a wow, because
yes,
we started CDA in 2017, but now we've got developers who can also be in a position to go to public platforms and advocate for the things that the developers and the contractors want to push for or want to see. Because ours is to make sure that the playing field is level. Some of these guys who are developers, when they engage with the local authorities, they engage with planners who have been with the city for more than 20 years.
Sure.
And if the playing field is not level, if they don't understand the language and the interpretation of these laws, unfortunately, they will not be in a position to advocate for what they are calling for. Because I always say, as Zama, who's working for your CDA, that is a program within DAG, I'm not a construction company. I'm not an emerging contractor. I'm not an emerging developers. Yes, I can talk about the sector, but there will be times whereby the real developers will have to go to public platforms and talk about their needs and what they want or they want to see changed. And for me, I've seen contractors and developers claiming the space. And hence, I think for me, I started by saying the work that we're doing within the CDA does not only look at the training component of it, it looks at developing these individuals so that they can contribute to what South Africa is struggling with. That means housing opportunities for the poor within well-located areas.
Okay, so you say that the CDA is a program of DAG. Tell us about some of those success stories that you've had then.
Okay, I think I started to mention, the work that we did in Khayelitsha. I think recently we worked with 3 developers. One developer is from Fuleni, where we assisted him. It's a group of guys, gentlemen, who started a company to develop flats. All of them are accountants, chartered accountants, but they are in the sector of human settlements now. We worked with them navigating the space of making sure that they comply. And within a space of 6 months, we assisted them to build 15 rental units.
Sure.
If those 15 rental units were not there, those tenants maybe would have contributed in the invasion of public land.
Yes.
I think we also assisted a women-led household in Khayelitsha to build 4 rental units at the back of a house. And then also, I think there's a seasoned developer that we worked with since 2017. We just completed a 3rd development now under his belt.
Sure.
We started in Delft, where we built 6 units. We went to Montana, another area in Cape Town, where we assisted him to build 8 units. Recently, we completed 6 developments under his belt.
Sure.
When we are assisting the developers, we are not the leaders in these developments. We say we are a resource. The developer should be the one who's leading the processes, so that even outside of DAG support, outside of CDA support, he can be in a position to lead and develop more housing opportunities. I think the other success for me, CDA has received recognition from the public sector.
Sure.
CDA has received recognition from academic institutions. For example, we, in the delivery of the training programs, we are partnering with seasoned lecturers from UCT, University of Cape Town, who are saying, we are willing to partner with CDA because we can see the intention. CDA is not about ticking boxes. CDA is about the development of these individuals so that they can be in a position to contribute to the industry going forward, even without us as CDA.
Sure.
So those are some of the successes, and recently, the development that I just mentioned, the one in Fuleni, the one in Khayelitsha, and the one in Delft, will be, we are finalizing case studies, and we'll be releasing those case studies for individuals to see. I think people can follow our Facebook page, people can follow the DAG's website to get a look of those case studies that we just completed.
Okay, so Zama, what change would you like the CDA to make going forward? What change would you like to see going forward as a CDA?
Okay, I think while I was saying as a CDA, we've got a role of training the emerging contractors, we've got a role of training the developers. I think one important role for me is to do the advocacy and lobbying. Making sure that the government programs talks to the needs of the emerging contractors and the emerging developers. Currently, some of the public sector regulations do not support the growth of these emerging developers.
That's right.
And as CDA, we are playing a front role in making sure that the playing fields are level. That's one role. And when it comes to the scaling up of the work of CDA, I think for me, we are not only looking at operating in Cape Town only. We are also now thinking about operating outside of the province. I think some people say COVID-19 restricted the way we do work.
Yes.
But for me, I think as CDA, COVID-19 has also challenged us to think differently.
True.
For example, last year we delivered a training program for the very first time virtually. Then this year, 2021, we also delivered a training program virtually. And if that can be done, what is stopping us in training developers and emerging contractors outside of Cape Town? But then the trick will be, how do we start to identify partners outside of Cape Town? For example, within the UCT construction department, the lecturer who's working with us has started to identify students who are doing construction work to also act as mentors to some of these construction companies. And we're saying, if we're gonna scale up the work of CDA outside of Cape Town, how do we start to forge those partnerships with individuals, with professionals who are retired, who are saying, I want to give back? How do we start to identify those outside of Cape Town? We have done that in Cape Town, but now, ours now, is the challenge now is to identify those partners outside of Cape Town, is to identify those partners within the private sector, is to identify those partners within the academic institutions, but also to constantly engage the policymakers so that the policies that they are passing in parliament or in some of these councils acknowledges the role that is being played by emerging contractors and the emerging developers.
Absolutely agree. Zama, what advice would you give to somebody wanting to get into this sector?
I think this sector is not that sector whereby one can just join because he wants to make a quick buck. It needs someone who's driven by a passion. I always say, even when we recruit for CDA, staff members for CDA, we don't just take anyone who's saying, I'm unemployed.
Yeah.
We want to get someone who's passionate about the work. Even with construction companies and developers, we are saying to them, if you are here for a quick buck, you are in a wrong sector. So we're encouraging them to say, look, this is the sector that will need your commitment. So how do you make sure that you are passionate and you are open up in terms of making sure that you understand this sector holistically? Without an emerging contractor understanding this sector holistically, I'm telling you, he will be there for one project. After that, there won't be any company to run. So hence we're saying, make sure that you understand the sector first. If you are saying this route that CDA you are talking about, I'm not interested, thank you very much, then that's it. I think as a whole at DAG, when we do capacity building, we are saying we are giving individuals a toolbox. You can be given a toolbox but not know how to utilize the tools. So for us, it's of importance for the emerging contractors and the developers to have the tools, but be in a position to utilize the tools.
Okay, and lastly, how do people get in touch with the CDA? Okay,
as currently CDA continues to be a programmatic area within DAG. DAG as an NGO has been around since 1986. For those who are staying in Cape Town, we've been in the very same building, number 101 Lower Main Road in Observatory, Cape Town. But then for those outside of Cape Town, we've got a website that is constantly being updated. And then we've got social media platforms, your Facebook, your Instagram. Yes. So Anyone can write us an email to inquire about the programs. You can write an email at dag@dag.org.za, or maybe if you choose to send an email directly to me, you can send it to zama@dag.org.za.
Zama, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for the great work that DAG and the CDA are doing. It's absolutely amazing. So well done to you and your team. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and we are looking forward to capacitate a cadre of developers, a cadre of emerging contractors who will contribute to the challenges that South Africa is facing, especially around access to well-located housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Absolutely agree. Thank you very much for tuning in today and being a part of the show. Make sure that you are emailing dag@dag.org.za or check out their website, www.dag.org.za. We'll catch you back next week, same time, same place. Take care.